what we're going to talk about today are two projects, and they would not have occurred if it hadn't been for the inspiration of a lot of you folks and input to me. Um, and at the end of the day, what kind of happened was is we really started saying that we'd prize for Dream It, Do It, but I need to figure out a way of what Dream It is going to look like in the future, and um, how we would, it really came about um, with this COVID thing, and I really kind of really scratched my head because I knew that eventually we had to have more to us than a trailer, and then at the same time I was really taking in everything that you all were telling me along the way, and wanted to make sure that we had the group being relevant and doing the things that the educators were asking us, that the businesses were asking us, that people were saying the students were wanting. So with that, I reached out to Catherine Lang from one of her presentations to us. She hooked me up with Lynn, who's going to introduce herself here shortly. And we started off with, could you help me build a 3 to 5 year plan? And they came back and they said, well, we don't exactly do that, but we can start helping you with projects. So through a collaboration that she'll talk about, that's how we kind of got started. And I'm just want to say thank you very much to the University at Omaha because they're really going to help us take a step forward here. So with that, Lynn, I'm going to turn this over to you and let you share your screen.
Perfect. All right. All right, I'm hoping that you can see the PowerPoints. Reba, if you give me a nod, then that'll tell me because I can see a few of you.
Got it.
Great. Got it. All right, except for it is at the end and not the beginning, but that's okay because I can go back there. Perfect. All right, so I am Lynn Harland. Thank you, John, for letting me speak today. We are incredibly excited about the opportunity to do some work with Dream It, Do It. This is a topic that is near and dear to my heart, and so anything I can do to add to the effort is really appreciated. So I'm going to get right into it. So just so you know a little bit about me, I am actually a management professor and an academic administrator in the College of Business Administration at UNO, and this is my 31st year, just ending up my 31st year at UNO. I fell in love with it the moment that I got here, so you can't pry me out of here with a crowbar. My teaching at the undergraduate, graduate, and executive education level focuses on management, leadership skills, collaboration, and project-based consulting, which we will see comes in handy for this particular course. My research examines workplace fun, leadership, and resilience. If that's at all interesting to anyone, I would love to hear from you. I've been the Associate Dean for 14 years, where I focus on internal operations on the academic side of the college, and then I liaison with other UNO academic and student success units and our partners in the business and nonprofit community. So a Didi relevant fact that few people know about me, but I am pretty proud of, and I think it's pretty cool, is I was a supervisor in a General Motors Delco Electronics plant in Kokomo, Indiana, where I grew up. The students who are going to be doing the projects that I'm going to talk to you about in just a minute are all a part of UNO's Masters of Business Administration program, which has been around for, oh gosh, 50 plus years, 60 years. It's been around for a long time. We have around 300 students enrolled at any point in time, and most of our MBA students are full-time working professionals. So as I like to say, our average age hovers around 29, but ranges from 21 to 70. And I think we actually had someone who was 18 years old one time who graduated from high school and college in a very fast fashion. But typically it's more around 29. The classes are held on weekday evenings. They're in person, they're remote, like us, like we're doing right now, live via Zoom, or totally online. And probably a lot more totally online and remote this fall because of COVID-19. So if you know much about Masters of Business Administration programs, there are some classic courses that are always required in those courses, like accounting and finance and marketing and management and strategy and IT and economics, ethics, leadership skills, business analytics. But our MBAs are different in that they all complete a project-focused capstone course where they provide pro bono consulting for a nonprofit or a startup. And we have some very specific goals for that course. Want to walk through them because then you'll understand why we do this and why it's so important to us. Hold on. Um, so we want them to apply knowledge gained in the MBA program. We want them to integrate knowledge gained in the MBA program. We want them to learn effective consulting skills. Okay, I have to confess, my husband just returned after 2.5 weeks in the field, so I have to say hello. Hello, I'm on a Zoom call and presenting. Okay, love it. This is the nature of our life now. Um, we also have a very strong goal of giving them knowledge about how and why to give back to the community because civic leadership is one of our program goals. So just to get a sense of this course, it's been taught for 40 years, either as an elective course or a required course in the MBA program. So this is something that we really care about. This particular course that I teach in the summer will start on Monday, July 6th and end on Wednesday, August 5th. And so if you think about that and you look at the exact days, that's really only 4.5 weeks that these MBA students who work full time will be working on this project for Dream It, Do It. They end with client presentations and reports on the last week of class. So either on their own, individually, or in dyads, the students will complete between 10 and 15 Dream It, Do It projects. And most of those projects will require around 40 hours of out of class time. So it's a significant investment that they're making in addition to kind of all of the other things that they're doing in their life. I have taught this course for more than a decade. Typically, I would have multiple clients. This summer, I was fortunate, thanks to Kathy Lang, to be able to be linked up to Dream It, Do It. And this is our only client this summer, which is an incredible luxury. And so we're so excited to really be able to focus intensely on this client and really just target all our efforts there. So I'm not going to go through all of the current 15 projects that we have, but I'm going to give you a sense of what they are going to be like. And then I hope if you have questions, ideas, thoughts, etc., that you'll contact me or reach out to John. That would be a great way to get in touch. So I've kind of broken them into 4 clusters and quickly run through those. In 4.5 weeks, obviously our students aren't going to be like inventing products or services, but what they can do is identify best practices. They can do a lot of benchmarking. And so a number of the projects that we are doing are going to be related to those best practices. Looking at content, programs, assessment metrics, structure, marketing, data use, etc. So a lot of research looking around the country at what others are doing in this area in career exploration / education / workforce development. We'll also look at needs assessments of key stakeholders, so businesses, teachers, guidance counselors, after-school programs, etc. And then we want to also strategically look at what are other potential collaborations with other youth-serving nonprofits in the career education / exploration / workforce-focused nonprofits. And then finally, identifying perceptions of jobs in industry and developing effective communication strategies in career education / exploration contexts. So what do we need from you? This is my takeaway. I hope you'll hear me here. And that is that if my students are going to do a great job, which they typically do, in a few short weeks, getting a lot of the input required for projects is going to take the participation of many Dream It, Do It members and stakeholders. So if you're contacted by someone who says they're a student in a UNO MBA course taught by Lynn Harland or Ann Herman, I really, really hope that you'll consider investing a bit of your time for a phone call, a Zoom interview, a brief survey, so that we can make the most of this opportunity. And we will actually be sending out a survey to members to gather your interest in specific projects later on before class starts. And then, so my overarching goal here is that as Dream It, Do It moves forward on its various initiatives, we hope these capstone reports will serve as a repository of information that informs Dream It Do It's decision making and allows Dream It Do It to focus on executing its objectives quickly. So I hope that you're intrigued. If you have any questions, ideas, insight, thoughts, gosh, I hope you will reach out to me. And honestly, I am providing you my cell phone, which I normally would never do. Because we're not in the offices yet at UNO. So please do not hesitate to write that down and contact me there or at my email address. So John, back to you. And
Thank
I can
you.
stop share.
Well, first of all, I again have to really say thank you to both Lynn and Catherine, Reva, Lance, and others. Sarah Moreland helped here a little as well. Gave us a lot of input. We do have, we've consolidated it down from, I think, 22 down to 15. We are, we have a little touch-up work to do with it. And then our next step is to actually send it out to you all. And what we're hoping is that from when we send it out, that if you are interested in one of the areas, that you will return it so that we can kind of put names by specific projects. If there are some that, you know, I know Jerry Faniff will jump right in and probably pick one or two, or if he doesn't, then I will pick one or two for him. But, and you know, there's Ralph but you all are really, really great. And as I say, we didn't really want to go through all 15 of them today, but they, as you will see here in the next few days, really reflect everything that we all are talking about. And then we want to be able to say, as we move forward, when we just decide to do a project, we're going to be able to pull this information to guide us. And I think that it's really important. So again, Lynn, thank you very much for all the time. And I do want to say that there has been hours of input. So COVID has allowed us to really focus on this project, and we wouldn't be getting it done without hers and Kathy's support. Next, we've been back and forth on the edge of a website. And what occurred was that through exploration with the Department of Education, trying to find out if there were websites that they were currently using, is there something that we could to build upon? There were discussions with them as it relates to the chamber and monies that were being spent. We looked at a multitude of things. Dream It, Do It had a website that's, I guess I'd call stationary, that we really didn't feel was going to be interactive for what we were trying to build in Omaha. So I reached out to Grant, who will introduce himself next, and my son, who had formed a company, and really kind of explained a vision of what I really thought that we needed by listening to what all of you were saying. And what we can do with the e-commerce world is just incredible today. And what was nice was I was able to basically take a vision, ask them to put their viewpoint on it, and Grant just ate this stuff up alive, which has just been great. And he will talk, we've been out interviewing, and some of the projects that you're going to see that Lynn's working on are actually going to fold into what we're planning to do with the website. So with that, Grant, I'm going to turn this over to you and let you introduce yourself and go forward.
Thanks, guys. Sorry about that. I have kind of a weird audio setup because I've got a lot of computers. But so I'm Grant Stanley. I built predictive analytics systems for Fortune 500 companies for 8 years, and that's kind of, it's important because it talks to kind of the span of what we're doing here. And then after that, I sold that company and worked in HR tech, building systems for professional services. And then I did that for about 4 years. And then James Fonda uh, reached out to me and said, "Hey, I'm working in a trucking business. Do you think you could take some of that HR tech experience and help me recruit truckers?" And using digital marketing and using some automation, we were able to reduce the cost to recruit a trucker from about $10,000 to about $5,000. And without having to add any staff, we were able to have about a 40 truck swing, which is saying something, because in the trucking space, you have turnover, so you're recruiting more than just the new trucks. So then James and I have been working in trucking for a while, and got a call from John, and he said, "Hey, I'm working with Didi and on manufacturing. Do you think you could apply a little bit of your systems thinking and your experience in HR tech to help the employers in Nebraska recruit?" So that's where we started off today, and we had to learn a lot. So we've been interviewing quite a few of the Didi members to learn about their experiences. And can you see my screen now?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm having some. So really, what we've done over the last 3 years is, or as an organization, we've opened up and really become a place for anyone to learn and experiment. We have members in finance and insurance and manufacturing, and this really has poised Didi as a place where we can connect companies of different industries with nonprofits, with educators, so that we can collaborate, share ideas, and communicate. And we're using that infrastructure to address Nebraska's second largest industry, which is manufacturing, and really trying to figure out, are there ways that we can help address some of the large systemic challenging problems. And so in our that all started off with listening. We've met with Conduxix and Brand, Logier, and several other manufacturing companies, and listened to and learned about how are they recruiting, what issues are they having with new employees, what do they wish teachers and guidance counselors and administrators would know, and we've identified 3 initiatives that we're working on right now, and then Lynn and her students are going to be helping us add some depth and even go further, but we wanted to get started just so that with some things that are really obvious. So in our industry, in the manufacturing industry, we have a chicken or the egg problem. Tech has become fairly affordable with cheap capital. It also is becoming more and more powerful, where we're adding automation, or we're adding machine learning and computer vision to automation and mechanization, and that combination has asked more from labor and skills, and has increased some of the complexity, or at least the rate of change. So we've identified that there's a need out there for a kind of a how-to site. It's an industry publication, but most of the industry publications that exist today are focused on press releases and fluff and marketing copy. And we had a really good interview with I think it was Andrew Young from RSM, and he said every company is innovative in one way. Everybody does one thing that's innovative, but we're not innovative. And I said, oh, that's a really good idea. We can all learn from each other and help solve this chicken or the egg problem if Didi becomes the connector of, hey, you're good at this one thing, you're good at this other thing. You've spent all the time researching how to solve this problem. Can we share it? Now there's intellectual property issues, and we got to make sure that we're protecting the secrets. But when I've asked people where do they go for new ideas, they always said I went to trade shows, and that there wasn't a website. The other piece that we saw is as that demand on labor and skills kind of shifts to the right is more and more employees are becoming responsible for coming up with new ideas or looking for process improvements. And we can't afford to send everybody to conferences and trade shows all the time. And that's one of those things that Didi's can be really a unique value proposition we can provide. Then we have schools. A lot of Didi members are spending a lot of money and time trying to build relationships with educators, but they have a problem. They're educators. Their focus is on academia, and they don't necessarily know that much about the manufacturing space or about companies or careers or roles. But students are trusting them to help advise them with career decisions. So, we identified kind of 3 ways that people provide career advice. They do it off of general trends or statistics. Hey, this career, I hear there's lots of companies or there's a shortage of nurses, or doctors make a lot of money, you should go into medicine. And then there's also matching, where they're looking at the characteristics of the students, intelligence, experience, unique abilities, and saying, hey, I know that what you have is needed in this industry. And then you also have just, hey, take a gap year, follow your bliss, figure it out for yourself. But all 3 of those require knowledge and experience about an industry. And I have a lag. And so with just running an awareness campaign and investing in educating what we're calling CATs, coaches, administrators, and teachers, about what is possible, and just doing it with social media, that every day, hopefully we are sharing a career story with a coach. We are sharing a company that is looking to get involved in a school system with administrators, and we're providing material that teachers can use in their lesson plans. It's amazing. You would think that schools provide lesson plans to teachers, but they are tasked with coming up with their own material and their own curriculum a lot of the time. And so if we can share anecdotes about how calculus and differential equations is used in manufacturing or in missile ballistics, that gives them kind of some ammunition for their classroom. But ammunition's the wrong. Ammunition belongs nowhere in education. That's my joke for the day. And really what it came down to was we started off with this thesis or this hypothesis that kids envision their own careers when they're better exposed to adult workplaces, yet even adults struggle to understand what happens in other industries. And if we can expose those adults to what is happening, that we will get better matches. Metal Quest was sharing a tour that they gave where a teacher came in and was surprised that a manufacturing facility has a floor. They were expecting that a manufacturing facility would have a dirt floor. And that was one of the reasons that they never recommended kids to go into manufacturing. And then finally, we've identified a need for kind of a distributor of ideas. And if you know John, that's the business he's in, is, hey, I'm going to help you, I'm going to equip you, I'm going to make you aware of what is possible, and then you go out and actually build this. But we were approached by Partnership for Kids, P4K, and CLOS, and they were applying for a grant that was tasked with how do we make engineering accessible and hands-on to students, where we're not making it where they don't need permission to practice the tasks of engineering, which is hey, I'm going to build something, I'm going to test it, I'm going to measure it, and I'm going to design it so that I can launch it and test it again and see, did I get an improvement? And we started interviewing engineers about what they did as a kid that made engineering feel accessible to them. And it was little projects with household goods where they could make a radio, they could make an electric motor, they could do some simple programming or Legos. Legos came up all the time. And with this, we think of this as we're going to create a framework that is hopefully repeatable. And so we wanted our per unit costs to be as low as possible. And so instead of buying a bunch of computers and VR goggles, we thought, okay, well, what if we could do something like a water bottle rocket? Oh crap! And this came up a lot as an activity that a lot of kids do, where they use a bicycle pump or vinegar and baking soda, and they make a rocket out of a 2-liter empty soda bottle. And maybe not that that has its application in specific areas, but we've come up with 7 different there's 6 different activities for 7th and 8th graders, and P4K is going to be taking those ideas and developing curriculum with us and information about CLOS and how manufacturing, how it all relates, and making it applicable, and then sharing it with about 300 students in OPS over the next 2 years. John, did I miss anything?
No, you did a good job of giving an overview. I think, as there's a couple things to the website, and then I'll let you all ask questions, and we don't have, we have a view of it, but we decided today we're just going to talk about the framework, and we'll keep rolling things out in the coming weeks. But we also wanted to have a problem solving element in the website. We think it's really important that kids get to engage and learn how to problem solve, as well as the foundation of Dream It, Do It. They had ambassadors. We're actually going to add mentors. So basically we're going to have companies, ask companies to provide individuals where we will have curriculum for them to make presentations on the site that actually the students can actually engage with. So basically, it could be the John Day Company, and maybe I'm the mentor, and I talk a little bit about just the history of the John Day Company. Then there's a view about what is it that a CEO does, and then maybe there's some other topics, but then maybe I give them a problem to solve. We got 35. We got a container load of 35 boxes of fasteners in for CLOS today, and they want them all yesterday. And how do you get that all executed and in a timely fashion? And so then you pose the problem, and then you let the students respond to that. So we're actually thinking about developing this program. It would be about a 45-day program for the mentors. That would be by semester. So that so they come in, but we keep it changing. So we feel like we have the opportunity to keep bringing up new things. A lot of the sites that we looked at, everything's static, and after a while, the content isn't fresh or fresh, not French, fresh. So that's kind of a really big overview. You're all looking at me. It's hard when I'm looking at all of you and there's me. So somebody say something so I don't feel like I'm just hanging out on a limb.
You're doing good, John.
Hey, John, I remember you were speaking about something in the past where the website could be really reachable from the students 24 hours a day, because students today want to learn when they want to learn, not be preached at or lectured to in a special 1-hour session on Tuesday at 11 o'clock. They want to have that opportunity to really teach themselves. So how will this one be interactive? I'd like to know more about that if you could.
So, you mind if I take it, John?
Go for it.
So we were thinking about that, and we're going to eventually, kind of like that social media. Right now we're focused on teachers, administrators, and coaches, because that's an evergreen audience. And then we can make if parents want to access that, fine. But we were thinking of the same level with our Didi website initially, is let's focus on sharing what is happening inside of manufacturing and get into as much detail as we can, because if you have a conversation with a kid, they want to know all the little details. And so it'll capture the people who are most curious, and then we can take that and kind of version it out over time to make it accessible to more and more students. But we start off with it is having the greatest impact with our members, and then it is also having the greatest impact with the kids that have the most interest. Those kids who are doing engineering projects at home, and then it sets us up really well and gives us a base for, say, like P4K, to take that knowledge, that videos, that how-to, and bring it into the curriculum. And a good example of that is an activity box features some engineering principle. Well, all the kids want to know, like, well, yeah, but this is for kids. And then we can take it and say, hey, no, here's a case study of what is going on at class. This isn't kids. This isn't just for kids. Like, this is them talking to their peers. And can you see the parallels? Same with like factory tours. They want to see, where am I working? And it's easy to make curriculum of, hey, kids, go out to this site. It's contained, and review 5 companies and say, which company would you want to work for and why, based on the research that you've done. And so it gives us that multi-purpose tool that then we can specialize over time.
Thank you.
Other questions or thoughts?
John, I have a question. So will this also be accessible to some of the youth programmers, like the WIOA program, or some of those big programs that are doing career guidance with some of those kids that are both in school and out of school? Because if it is, then you'll capture more interest from some of those older youth looking for careers.
So good, very good question. So imagine a building, a very tall building, and the first K through 5th, 6th grade is going to be a lot of stuff from kids' YouTube. We're gonna load that data on there for them to explore. 7th and 8th grade is going to be exploration, kind of what Grant's talking about with projects, kits, things that we can do with the kids. We're hoping that those programs will be able to be shared with Germain or Partnership for Kids, or any of the after school programs that we can work with them. And then 9th through 12th grade is obviously going to be more exploratory and relationships with business. And one of the things we want to make sure is we don't want to have businesses have to put their information on our site. So we will try to link that out to them. But the nice thing about the way we're developing this is, and many of you know that I was talking about Dream It, Do It Too, and I probably stepped into Pandora's box with that, about how you deal with all those, the kids that have dropped out or the kids that aren't involved, or how do we do this? There is a plan, and we believe there is a way to deal with the 16 to 24, or it could be all the way up to 65 years old. I mean, for the matter of fact. And we really want this to be open to everyone. When we started building the site, you start saying, why would we just limit it to Omaha? So anybody's going to be able to find the site and participate. Obviously, we're the greater Omaha area. We're going to try to focus with the nonprofits here, but we want to be able to, a lot of the companies that are members of our organization do business statewide. So we're hoping that they will be able to participate as well in time if they so desire. So yeah, Amber, we really do see a lot of opportunities here for businesses to engage, to be able to reach multitudes of different people, and the challenges. And also, I know in working with Julie in the past, and when we talked about state issues, there's a lot of nonprofits out state that I think could benefit from something like this as well. So, and we should be sharing those ideas and letting them use them should they wish.
Hey, John, will this website also point kids in the direction of the apprenticeship programs? You know that,
Yes.
you know, we have a machinist apprenticeship program. I'm assuming Logiers has one too. Will this point them in the direction of, hey, you don't do the traditional college, you can do apprenticeship? And then for those kids that drop out, is it going to point them to like Job Corps? You know, because a lot of states have Job Corps. I know Iowa, where you're in that, like you said, 16 to 24, you can get free skills training, et cetera, through Job Corps, and that's through the Department of Labor. Do you know if, are we going to list those additional resources for those kids and their parents so that they can not only reach out to the manufacturers, but also reach out to the different agencies or government agencies that can help them find the right fit for them?
I might defer the second part of that question to Grant because he can tell me how that will work. The first part of it, though, is as it relates to internships, apprenticeships. I don't envision what I heard through the discovery process is that a lot of sites out there right now require people to actually go load that onto a site, and then you have to keep those things updated. We actually want to offboard that. So basically what we want to do is the background of our website is going to be the clusters, and they're going to show all the connectivity and all the different pathways, but eventually we want to have a scoreboard there so that Mary has shown a huge interest in XYZ, and she wants to know the path. Well, these are the schools that would could help her along with that career path, or these are businesses that offer internships, apprenticeships, etc. The vision there is we worked with the Chamber of Commerce a year ago or a year and a half ago to come up with standardized terms that everybody used. And so what we'd like to do is basically link them right into your website to where you have those apprenticeships, all those things. And we're going to ask you all to you can put your own fluff in there and how you want to do it and sell your organization. But we want the terms to be standardized so that if they're looking between you and Lozier and Brand Hydraulics or whoever, that they're able to actually understand what's going to be required. It's all laid out in a very similar format. As it relates to your question, follows along a little bit with what Amber was actually talking about with all these different organizations. And I think, it's like anything. The site has a lot of flexibility, and I think that as I will describe it as when I sat down with the boys, I said, we're going to start this from floor 1, and I want it wired to do anything we want it to be able to do. So as we build up, we can drag those wires and connect it. What we don't want to do is build something and then find out we can't add on to it or we can't bring those things in. So we do have the flexibility, I believe, to add those components. And so one of the things, so we have the 15 projects that we're going to be working on, which you folks are going to help give us answers to, that we're going to bring those ideas in. I've talked to Aaron, and I remember talking to Aaron the first time, talking about Dream It, Do It. She said, well, we're going to be a part of it because we want to make sure that we're not, if we're not on the train and it leaves, we're not a part of it. And I would say this is the same kind of a thing. We're going to want input from all of you, and I know that there's going to be more things to come about. I've already started the conversation with Lynn and Hint, that we're going to have more things to start working on. And whether that is the next semester, if they push that off to the next summer, I just think that it's kind of stepping stones. So we're kind of in a crawl before you walk and a walk before you run mode. But we have I think a very good basis here. I think it will be very beneficial to the community. And
Yeah.
And the most important thing is we just want to be interactive so those kids they want to go. They keep seeing things change. You know, it doesn't take them very long to click through and then say, seen it, been there and done that.
Yeah.
Hey, John, do you mind if I ask for a little feedback? We'll do a little show and tell and
Sure.
see where everybody's priorities are.
Can I ask one more question too? Because,
Yeah.
you know, West Sides has an internship program, you know, for the welders. Are we we're also, as Dream It Do It, gonna go out to the schools and ask them what programs they have, you know, what academies they have for the kids too? You know, because you got a level of, you've got the agencies, you've got the business, and then you have the school system. We're gonna tie that all together with this.
The hope is yes. I mean, the answer is yes. One of the things that we really liked about this site and the way we're approaching it is all students, all schools. So right now, one of the things that we've been a little bit limited by is the parochial schools. We're not invited into there very much. We've been it's also trying to go out and establish relationships with them to understand how to participate with us. We really like the fact here is that we have a site that any school can come in and use. Any teacher can come in and use it. Any parent can come in and use it. So as we work with the different schools, we certainly can identify. So I was talking with Greg Benson out at Kearney. They got an industrial distribution program that's out there. The hopes is that we can connect with the University of Omaha, Nebraska, Bellevue, all the 15 school districts here, and there's more than that when you think. So there's a lot of connectivity that this site can do because we're sharing it with everybody. And then, you know, then it's really a case of them saying that they're going to help us, give us the links to go to, you know, to get that information.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, I think it would be great to tie all that together because, you know, for us that are businesses on this side of it, you know, we get asked and requested for things all the time, but if we had one place we could point them to that has all that connected, the career paths, the resources, the before and after school programs, the internships, the education piece, which is where the colleges come into play, that would be great. Yeah. So,
and we're talking about embedding a lot of metrics here. We've had some conversations with Ken Spellman, Katie Griffin, with and Teresa Muzell, I think I said that right, with the Department of Education, because we want to make sure that as we develop this for information that they need to show how many students are interacting with different things, we want to be able to give those kind of reporting. We also want to make sure that we are aligning ourselves with Blueprint Nebraska, what that's going to look like and how we do that. Also, at one time, they were trying to do the Regional Career Alliance here in Omaha. We plan on, we've talked to Sarah Moylan, and that is one of the projects that's embedded here. Also had a conversation with them. This is going to be a great place for Career Rocket. You know, one of the things that we heard from a lot of the manufacturers is that they don't like to do Career Rocket for the younger kids. They want to do it for the older ones, you know, the 12th grader, because they think they can hire that person, but they're not real enthused about doing for 7th and 8th. So we think there's a great opportunity to give those learning experiences, do virtual tours. We plan on doing virtual tours of the businesses that join our group, put them in, embed them into this so that people can come in, look at it, and we can build all those talking points. The very first thing that when COVID hit, Jim Musil called up and he said, I wish you had started working on all those videos that you said you were going to do. So, you know, because the teachers need, you know, they're looking for all the things that we have that capable to present. We just want to be that one area that they can come to.
Mm-hmm.
More questions?
So one of the interesting ways to think of this is we are building microservices. So that allows us to combine a lot of different things. It also allows us to trim. So instead of trying to create a perfect vision and execute on a perfect big vision, what we want to do is launch something, see, does it get traction? If it gets traction, then we version it up and we keep expanding it. And if it doesn't get traction, we shut it down. So I, at the beginning, and building a website's hard, but at the beginning of this process, one of the things that I did was I it took about 5 hours, and I created a little website. And my little website, the goal was to see, could we get, if we built something like this, would it take off? And it's just, a simple blog with how to of, hey, here's 26 practical technologies and 8 value drivers for Industry 4.0. The old dogs who built Apple products. But as we talked with like Ken Spellman and Regine, we realized, there's maybe a need for, hey, I want to get training, or I want to find a job, or I'm a teacher and I need to have, I want to have someone come in and speak to my classroom. Can I find somebody to do that? Because I'm not going to go out to a Rotary meeting or the country club or what have you and go find, make connections with the owners of these companies so they can come in and talk. But we can list speakers and allow that you just search for them and by technology and by industry, so that then you can go, hey, I want to actually check this person's availability. And it should allow teachers to feel more comfortable engaging with industry, but it also allows, it reduces the administrative overhead for us as business people to get involved with classrooms. On the same side of, if it'd be similar like a review site where you Google top 10 best kind of socks for the Midwest. We could have reviews of companies, where if I click this, I would actually go to Valmont's job page. And we can have different ways to sort, and we can also have get training. Hey, I want to, because there's lots of different types of training. There's hey, I want to get my initial education, or I want to get retrained, or I want to do some continuing ed, or there's something specific. And this would allow us to list, say, MCC classes or UNO classes alongside with, say, Code Academy or one of the MOOCs, like a Udemy class, and allow people to sort those. So if I want to just do something fun with my kids, I can search for free ones that are kind of short and kid friendly. So things like getting started with 3D printing, designing for augmented reality. And then with that publication idea is we are sorting articles by kind of the step of the manufacturing process. So, hey, here are articles about design and prototyping, also by technology. Hey, here are articles relating to 3D printing, let's say, or by sector. Hey, I want to look at defense. And then if I click through, I see, okay, here's design. And then here's all the little tasks that are required in design. So I'm in design. I want to improve design. Oh, research. I don't do a lot of research when I think about new product ideas. I'm gonna read about research methods. And then every section has a get started. So this is where we would feature companies that are hiring, interesting projects or how-tos, training that someone could do if they are interested in manufacturing and design, and they can scroll to the bottom and get started. So that's kind of the process of the evolution. Is there in the chat, is there any, do you think that training or jobs is more interesting as kind of a bottleneck?
Well, I think as a parent and a student, you also want to look at companies that offer scholarships. I think that might be something would be interesting to the families.
Perfect.
That you might want to add.
Yeah,
Because
that's a great
several
story.
of us pay for kids to go to school and then give them a job right out of tech school. Yep.
Yeah. So our goal here is we want to be publishing it and have interesting content so that people then come to the site and then we can direct them to those things. Because like adding a sort for here are companies that provide scholarships. That's great.
How about the teacher area besides just tours, speakers? Can you add teacher summer experience? You know, because
Yeah.
years ago we were part of, I think it was Project Shine, or there was something else in Omaha that we did through the chamber where the teachers came in and they spent a whole 2 weeks with us, and then they created lessons from that. That would be another thing to put on there.
Yeah, well, and that would be one of the things that we could. That is a great example of an article that we could feature, because it's not relevant. You know, it's not your competitive advantage. But if we could interview you about how you did it, you know, what that 2 weeks looked like, then we could create a guide for other people to do that. And if we notice that other people were starting to do that, then it has some momentum, and we can build services around that. Perhaps we could partner with a nonprofit to run it. And so it allows us to kind of organically figure out what programs are needed, instead of saying, hey, here's a program we want to see happen, and kind of bet the farm on it. We can see, is that article getting clicks? Are people interested in this? If we promote it on social media, is it getting a following?
Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm.
If possible, I'd like to see maybe a sponsorship area under the jobs. At Metro Community College, we're calling, I mean, it could be apprenticeships or just sponsorships. We're calling them opportunities where the industry partner is paying for their training. We're kind of putting that all together under the term sponsorship program. So, and then maybe under the sponsorships, all the different industry partners could put their particular opportunity in there, and then they would drill down, you know, for specifics on each particular sponsorship program. But I think it'd be good for parents and students to be able to go to sponsorships, see what's available to have their college paid for.
Well, and that's an amazing, that's great, because we could throw up a skillsnebraska.com kind of page where it's just, hey, here are companies that are willing to pay for your initial training. And it's just a resource, and we could direct traffic to a social media. I mean, that's a 3-day project right there. That's awesome.
Perfect, thank you. Yep, and they're employed with the industry partner in most of those cases as well, so it's pretty cool.
That's
So
awesome.
this is by no means, you know, we certainly don't want to allude that this is done. We have a framework that we know that we can add. We're going to be asking people for input. I think that we're talking about a lot of different things today. I mean, I asked Grant this morning if he wanted to kind of share that screen with you, and he told me no. So, but obviously I won. So, you know, we're looking at all this social media. So I guess what I'm going to, you know, ask you folks is, as you walk away today, start thinking about things, start reaching out, sending us emails. I don't care what it is. We'll start collecting those. That's going to either we will either match it up to what Lynn is working on. If it fits in there, we can start doing that by July. If we can't, then that is going to be our next to-dos. And then I think we will also, Grant and I will probably talk to you all in the future a little bit of, what do you really want first? What do you want second? I know there's some, we probably know what number 1, 2, and 3 need to be, but then after that, we're going to say, what are the priorities? And then, and ultimately at the end of the day, you know, business is going to have to help pay for this. And so we do have some ideas for how we want to do that. And we really didn't get into that today. So we'll have multiple sessions on this, but we just wanted to get it out, give you a tease. You all know that we haven't, you know, I haven't been resting on our laurels, and we really think that Dream It, Do It has a great opportunity here, not only to do this for our region, but we can share this with the entire state. And I think that that's what makes this a really cool project. So, you know, basically companies could be talking to a kid out in Scotts Bluff, or a Scotts Bluff company could be talking to a kid in Omaha, Nebraska that wants to move out west. So, I mean, I think there's a lot of flexibility with this. Anything else? I actually did hit the record button, so I am going to send this out to everybody so that you can reread it, you can share it, you can whatever with your partners. As I said, we really do want input. You know, Ken Spellman, this is the quietest you've ever been since I can remember. I mean, you're not even asking a question. I don't know, any last thoughts? I really appreciate it, but you know, we're up to 3:07, so it was an hour and 7 minutes, but I think it's all on good cause. Any other thoughts? Jim Musel, I see you're on here. You have anything to say? You like what you saw?
Yeah, John, I want to know if you're done with those videos yet.
Yeah, well, we're working on it. Klaus is going to be our first, so.
Okay.
Yeah, I've actually been writing the script all week, so.
We're moving forward on all this stuff. So, and we the virtual tours, if you can, only the thing is I keep talking about this because the ideas just kind of keep coming. But what's really cool about the virtual tours is you can just have a basic tour where they go into Lozier, they walk through the front door and down the aisles and through a plant. But then we can kind of come back, and then over time, they can actually start taking, this is what machining does. This is what this does. This is how we do assembly. This is how we do those things. So we can keep adding those things. So basically you're attracting this, you know, somebody to your company. So this is really a way to start introducing them to who Lozier is, or who Brand Hydraulics is, or who Klaus is. And then if you want to do this, okay, to what Rogine was saying, you know, what are going to be the scholarships out there? What, you know, do you offer those? Or what are the schools training? Is it MCC? And then we thought also, to Jim's comment about MCC, what about an MCC minute? I think you have so many professors that are teaching so many different classes that you could actually say, you know, we do coding and we build games, or we fly this, and this is how you do it. And you actually have a minute and you put the video on. So we can keep loading things like that so that the content stays fresh, interesting, and we keep kids, and I really mean this, that we want to, all kids, all careers, there shouldn't be any limitations whatsoever, and that's why we think this should be so good. It will take some hand holding from probably from Erin and her group to help us with the Dream It, Do It too, but I think
we'll figure it out, John.
We'll figure it out. There'll be career paths. You know, we may have to, you know, I think we'll have to have a place that people could do an inventory assessment of what their interests are. We plan on putting that in there so that they can take it, say, hey, you know, this is the kind of career I'd like to have. And then, you know, then they start answering those questions. And so they won't have to go through all the experiences. They'll probably get them quicker to, these are the type of jobs that you're currently qualified. If you want to do this, this is where you should go on to go take classes.
Yeah, we can work together on that. And Amber will be a great source there too.
But I just see that for the after school programs, I think should be a really good thing for, I see a lot of opportunity for Jermaine, for the Boys and the Girls Club, partnership for kids. I see Penny Parker was on here, I believe. I think there's so much we can do with this, and we are really going to be looking for your input and ideas. So, okay, so I'm going to say goodbye one more time, and before you let me keep talking, because Maury's going to want me to get onto another call here one of these days. So, anything else before we go?
Good.
Okay, well, I want to say thanks again for attending. I will figure out how to send this recording out to everybody with our minutes, and we'll go from there, and we'll plan on seeing you next month. We are actually, CHI has offered to bring some people to talk about, and I see Catherine Foley is on here. We're going to talk about mental health a little bit, about the COVID and how it's affecting the parents, the teachers, and maybe some resources as well. So that will be our conversation for July. And then I'm hoping that with a few, that probably in August, we're back to maybe, and we may be able to share some more things about this. but I'm hoping in August to give you all a recap of what Lynn worked with us on for the capstone project, and we will be sharing that with everybody, so you all have that information as well. So everybody take care. Maury, I'll talk to you in about, give me about 5 or 10 minutes, 5 minutes. Thanks.